So last time we talked about the four arousings of mindfulnesses, and we've been spending quite a few lectures, quite a few weeks on the techniques of meditation, samatha vipassana. The four arousings of mindfulness all related to the samatha vipassana. You all know what samatha vipassana is by now. Mindfulness, that is one of the most important parts of the Buddhist teaching. Buddhism is the study of the mind. So you should know how important it is to understand your own mind. It is easier to understand your own mind by starting with the actual practice, by meditation. But meditation is not just sitting, not just crossing your leg. You should develop that to walking meditation, sitting, lying down, standing, wherever you go. So it's not just sitting and there you meditate. It involves a lot of other behaviors too. There was a meditation master, Yongjia Dasi in the Chinese language, meditation master Yongjia. And what he says is, walking is meditation, sitting is meditation, speaking, being silent, acting and non-acting. The real nature of the mind is residing in peace. The nature of the mind itself is in peace. So now let us continue with the four arousings of mindfulness. We have already covered the first mindfulness on the body. And I don't have to repeat it again. Mindfulness of the body. It includes four major parts to it. It includes mindfulness of your in and out breath. It includes mindfulness of not just in and out breath. It extends to the four postures: sitting, lying down, standing, and walking. The third aspect of it is you extend that to all behavior and all speeches in your daily life, full awareness in your daily life. And the fourth part of it is contemplate on the impurities of the body. And the impurity of the body itself is broken into two parts. Contemplate on the 36 impurities of your own body, or contemplate on the charnel ground. You know that all in detail already. We covered it last time. So let us start again. What is the second arousing of mindfulness? Mindfulness of your feeling. Mindfulness of feeling. In the Chinese language is 观受. 观受是苦嘛, 观受. 受 is perception of feeling. So mindfulness on the feelings. So what about mindfulness on the feeling? What do we mean by mindfulness on feeling? When you're meditating, for example, you start with the in and out breath. Anapanasati. You concentrate on your breath, and then suddenly a thought comes up. The thought of relaxation. I'm relaxing right now. This is relaxed. This is quiet and good. So that's a pleasant feeling. That's a pleasant feeling, don't you say, oh, this pleasant feeling comes up. Now I'm talking on the mindfulness on feeling now, right? So we'll concentrate on the feeling. This is a pleasant feeling. I'm relaxed right now. Now today we're not relaxing too much because we have the manure's odor, coming at us. This is a farm. Outside there's a farm, and at this time of the year they put all kinds of fertilizers. I don't know if they're organic or inorganic, but we have to suffer from the pungent smell of the manures. So that's why we don't open the doors now. We open the back two doors. So you feel relaxed. Other than your in and out breath, you still have to watch your in and out breath. That's the basic. Then you feel, I'm relaxing. This is really good. Coming here on Saturday for a couple of hours, this is relaxing. And then you know, oh, this is a pleasant feeling. I shouldn't let my pleasant feeling carry me away. I should let go of it. The pleasant feeling comes up, it arises, it sustains, and then I know about it. I don't want to attach to it, this pleasant feeling. I let go of it. So this pleasant feeling disappears. So your mindfulness on this pleasant feeling. You think that is easy? No, it's not easy. Complete mindfulness is not easy. And then suddenly, you heard a crow cracking noise and you don't like it. Crack, 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 you don't like it. This is unpleasant. I don't like to hear it. That unpleasant feeling comes up. It arises. Oh, I don't want to be carried away. The crow is gone now. So that feeling is no more. You see it disappearing. Unpleasant feeling. And sometimes you're sitting in there, the feeling is neither pleasant nor unpleasant. So it is a neutral feeling. So you have pleasant feelings, unpleasant feeling, and neutral feeling. Do you want to be carried away by all that kind of perception? By all that kind of feelings? You don't want to be carried away by that. People get carried away by their own feelings, by their own emotions. When they feel good, they're happy. When they feel unpleasant, they feel sad, they don't like it. And if the sadness perpetuates, that leads to depression. And even neutral feeling is no good. You're not working there, you're neutral feeling. And there's two kinds of neutral feeling, you know. In the Chinese language, you call it wu ji. Neutral feeling, why wu ji? Because there is it does not leave an indelible mark on causality. You're there, you're not doing bad things, you're not doing good things, it's neutral. It does not have a force to carry out the cause and effect. But there's two kinds of neutral feelings. The one, it won't obstruct your spiritual path, your development, your spiritual development. It doesn't obstruct that. The other one obstructs your spiritual path. Because if this neutral feeling sustains, you're wasting your time. So watch the neutral feeling too. Pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral feeling. You've got to watch them. So, you label your own thought with difference of feelings. You learn about them, you try to understand them, and you do not let them carry you away. And you know that people usually get carried away. When they have pleasant feelings, they're glad. When they have unpleasant feelings, they're sad. Their emotion fluctuates because they get carried away. They cling on to emotions. They get carried away. They are not in control of their own mind. They let their mind control them. Now I'm using that word control with quotations. You don't control anything. Are you controlling your mind? Controlling means it's a subject and an object. You are here, you are controlling something there. There's no control. We don't have another word for it. Bare awareness. So make sure that you know what control is all about. You control nothing. It's spontaneous. All thoughts come out of attachment to the past, present, and future regarding what? Regarding your desire, ignorance, hatred. Desires originate from craving to materiality. Ignorance comes from what? Attachment to the ego. An erroneous view of the impermanence and causality nature of all things. You don't recognize the impermanence of things, the fleeting nature of things. So when you are contemplating on your feelings, the feeling come, sustain, disappear. It's changing all the time. So that you're always mindful of feelings, the effect is you realize the reality of impermanence, the reality of changeability. You know everything change, everything's impermanent. And then there's no attachment to them. It's because subconsciously you think everything is permanent, sustaining no change, that you want to attach to them. It's easy to talk about it though. It's easy to read a book on Buddhism and say, the Buddha says everything is impermanent, the Buddha said causality, everything is changing, and this is what the Buddha said. But then when you put down your book, you interact with people, you attach to permanence, you attach to egoism. It's easy to talk about it. It's difficult to practice it. An action is better than 1,000 words. It's practice. So, all our past, if they are pleasant, we hang on to them and like to crave for them again. We set up expectation and negation sometimes. We expect something that is good, and we try to negate something that is not good. If your past is unpleasant, you remember your suffering, you're never forgetful of people who inflict with you with that kind of suffering. You never let go, you never forgive. It always interact in your mind. But as you're always mindful, as time goes on, you broaden your mind. It's just like you're in a pond of stagnant water. And then all of a sudden, because of your broadening, because of meditation, because of the broadening, you open up all these rivulets and streams flowing into the sea, this ocean of awareness. And then you mix with the ocean, you're one with the ocean, and you have the vastness of the ocean is unlimited, and that is you. You're not the rivulet anymore, you're not the stagnant water anymore. The vastness of it. When you realize that, tranquility comes. So, hatred, ignorance, and desires are the 3 poisons of life. And we must know that the mind is the source of all our thoughts. The mind is not just producing pleasant and unpleasant, neither pleasant nor unpleasant feelings. The meditators, the more experienced meditators, would know that the mind produces all kinds of thoughts. Some are negative, like thoughts of greediness, anger, ignorance, depression, anxiety, fear, ego, malignance, injuries. You try to injure people. You try to bring harm to people. Sloth and fraudulent, pride and prejudices. All these are negative mental afflictions. The mind breeds them. The mind, they come from the mind. But some are positive though. The mind is not just the forerunner of evil doers. The mind is the forerunner of benevolent doers too. The mind do good and bad. Not just bad and not just good. Sometimes neutral. The negative thoughts, for example, the positive thoughts, for example, thoughts of generosity, compassion, diligence, responsibility, loyalty, faithfulness, equanimity, and so on. So it's positive and negative and neutral. So let us broaden our feelings to thoughts of the mind. Not just feelings, not just pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral. Broaden that. We know that the mind is more than that. Now let's take a step further. Let's take a look at mindfulness on the mind. Now we just finished mindfulness on feelings. It's more restricted. It's more restricted. Not just the feeling. Broaden up to mindfulness on the mind itself, on the consciousness. Talking about consciousness, what do we mean by consciousness? The mind is consciousness, right? How many kind of consciousnesses are there? The contemporary philosophers, thinkers, they always think that there is at least 2, consciousness and subconsciousness. And they may bring one more. Underneath subconsciousness, there is another consciousness. That's just like the tip of the iceberg. The very crude consciousness is on the top, like the iceberg. And the very deep is underneath it. That is subconscious. And then they also classify superconscious. But then what did the Buddha say about consciousness? Consciousnesses. I think people here, you already have known, there's 8 consciousnesses. 8. In the Buddhist language, in the Chinese language is 八识, the 8 consciousness. In the Sanskrit language, it's called Vijnana. So what is the first consciousness? Eye consciousness? Ear consciousness? Nose consciousness? Tongue consciousness? Body consciousness? These are the 5 at the front end. Those are your senses. Those are the salesmen, right at the counter, right at your counter. The 5 consciousnesses. What's the 6th? The mano consciousness. What's the 7th? The manas consciousness. What's the 8th? The alaya consciousness. Not one of these 3. You know the 5. Those are easy. Those are the 5 senses. So what is this? What is this mano consciousness all about? The mano consciousness is the 6th consciousness. We call it the 6th consciousness. That's the clever guy. That's the general manager. That's the general manager in charge of the counter, of accounting, of receivable, of the factory, of inventory, you name it. He's the general manager. He's smart. He overlooks everything. He controls everything. This general manager is responsible for the rise and fall of the company. In other words, your 6th consciousness is responsible for the rise and fall of you as an individual. That general manager in you, the 6th consciousness, brings you down to hell. It also brings you to heaven. That general manager helps you become the Buddha. It also imprisons you within your egoistic prison, your egoistic cell. That's the bad guy. And sometimes it's the good guy. What's good and what is bad depends on your own standard. So that the 6th consciousness, and how about the 7th consciousness? The 7th consciousness. Do you know the 7th consciousness? The 7th consciousness is what the contemporary philosophers say, the id, ID, id. We call it the self, the ego. The general manager has no ego. It's the 7th consciousness that has ego. The general manager, when he sees a client coming, he smiles. When a bad guy comes, he knows that's a bad guy. He himself, he does not have any ego. He tailors it to everybody. But this 7th consciousness has the ego. He's the director. He influenced the general manager by his egoism. That is you. So you work with the ego inside of you. That's the 7th consciousness. What is the 8th consciousness? The 8th consciousness are the banking consciousness, the storage consciousness. If we can draw an analogy, that's not the right analogy, but for the sake of not having one, those are the shareholders. They put in all the capital. They take all the bankruptcy. They take all the liability. They take all the assets. This banking consciousness stores in your bad, good deeds or neutral deeds. Every thought originates from you, it stores in there, good or bad, debit or credit. It won't go away. You think you can get away with the bad deed? You think somebody abused you and they can get away? Causality would get them. Sooner or later. You think you hurt someone, you can get away? Causality would get you. Cause and effect. Cause and effect would get you. It comes spontaneously. So this is the consciousnesses. And this make up of your mind. Just to put it very simply, you know there is one school of thought in Buddhism one school of philosophy in Buddhism, in the Mahayana Buddhism, and that school of thought, we call it the study of consciousness. In the Sanskrit language, it is called Vijnana Matrata. There's thousands of volumes of these books, and slowly they're being translated into English. I read some of the English versions, but they are very profound philosophy, the study of the mind. So if you're interested, try to dig into it. The study of the mind, the consciousness school. There are 8 schools of Buddhism, you know. This is one school, and it contains thousands of volumes. You can't finish reading them in your lifetime. Anyway, so much for touching on just the consciousness. This consciousness school needs about a few years to study. But I just summarize it for you for the sake of understanding your mind. Your mind is not just the word mind. It makes up of the 8 consciousnesses. And I have been, and I still continue to do that. I've been giving lectures recently in Chinese every Sunday, and we study in detail each consciousness. And just the first 5 consciousnesses, I spent about 30 hours on them. Just the first 30 hours explaining it, and it's not yet in much detail. But anyway, let's get on to, right now we're not talking about the consciousness school of Buddhism, the Vijnana Matrata. We're talking about mindfulness, we're talking about meditation now, and we're talking about meditation on the mind. So, how do we contemplate on the mind? What do we mean by meditation on the mind? Watch every thought that arises from your mind. How do we do it? You're meditating, and suddenly a thought with greed arises. Then you know this is a thought from the mind where greed arises. You'll be aware of the thought of greed. I'm watching it now, it is sustaining. Now I don't want it to be carried away by it, by such thought, now it is gone. So the thoughts that arise are not just pleasant, unpleasant, neither pleasant nor unpleasant. They are thoughts with greediness, without greediness, with anger, without anger, with ignorance, without ignorance. Maybe a lazy, slothful thought, a thought of diligence, a thought of distraction, a thought of concentration, a thought of the past, present, and future, a spiritual thought, a temporal thought, an egoistic thought, and so on and so forth. You realize every thought of your mind arising, sustaining, and coming, going. You be aware of them. You think that is easy? We've been talking about this awareness all along. It's just from different angles. Awareness of the impurities of the body, awareness of the impermanence, awareness of causality. It's from different angle. When the Buddha taught his disciples, he taught from different angles, not just from one angle. For the beginners, we talk about in and out breath, but that's the basic. Without in and out breath, you can't practice meditation. If somebody told you, I meditate, but I don't know what's anapanasati, sorry, he hasn't learned any. Because the Buddha used this method that is written in the Anapana Sutra. The Buddha used mindfulness, and that was written in the Satipatthana Sutra. There is back up to it. We're not just blaring out from nothing. And why did people meditate on 念佛是谁? Who is chanting? Who is this guy chanting the Buddha name? That is not Tathagata meditation. That is meditation of the masters. The masters concoct all these ingredients of meditation and put it together in a nice menu. That's a shortcut. That is a legitimate shortcut because he accumulated many years of experiences, and he knows that he wants to create a suspicion first. That 念佛是谁? That is not Tathagata meditation. That is the master's meditation. In the Chinese language, there's two kinds of meditation. The one belongs to what the Buddha said, which contains in sutras. The one belongs to what the Zen master said, which contain in commentaries and books about koans and books about Zen. For example, the Blue Clip records. For example, 景登录, 景德录. For example, all these others. There's translation for Blue Clip records, you know. Take a look if you, there is a translation by a Harvard professor from Chinese into English. I forgot his name, but Blue Cliff Records is a professor who specialized in both Sanskrit and Chinese. Anyway, so you continue to practice meditation, and you watch your mind and do not let your mind carry you away. You understand them, you know they're arising, sustaining, and disappearing. You are aware. So all discursive thoughts to you are just coming and going without affecting you. Can you meditate up to that point? Every thought comes, you realized it. You realize it sustains. You realize it disappeared. You watch them. Successfully watch them. That's enjoyable, you know. I don't know why you don't enjoy that. I always say in every lecture, watching your own mind is more enjoyable than watching a movie. Because why watch a movie? That movie is fictitious. Somebody else's script. Watch your own script. Watch your own mind. But people don't find fun in doing it. They want to watch movies, televisions. They don't want to watch your own mind. What for? Watching your own mind, you must be a nut watching your own mind. They don't know. They're ignorant. That's what Descartes, going about in the market, trying to look for people to debate. He said, I'm looking for people. People who know they're ignorant. Many people know they are not ignorant. They don't know of their own ignorance. They thought they know everything. Egoistic. Descartes were looking for people who know they were ignorant. Those were the real people. Those were the people that the Apollo god loved in the ancient Greek mythology or something like that. Did I get that term right? I don't know. So, you continue to practice meditation, then gradually you develop what? You know all your thoughts now. And of course, we dealt with the repetitiousness. You repeat that year after years and hours after hours. You spend a lot of time. It's not a McDonald's or meditation. You go in there and 5 minutes you grab a hamburger and you go home and you take a bite on it. You want everything to be fast. Minute rice. 5 minutes is too long. You want 2 minutes to get a minute rice done. There's no such thing in meditation. You think you can come for one session of meditation and I know it all. Crossing your legs, putting your cushion right behind your spine and don't move. That's meditation. Sorry, you're wrong. You're putting up a show. You're not only cheating us, you're cheating yourself. I got people here who cheat everybody. I don't want to mention the name. They think they know all. After 1 to 2 sessions, I can practice it at home, just sitting in there. I know the 3 A's. As long as I know the 3 A's, I can practice at home. You required repetitiousness, persistence. You have to do it year after year and year after year. And one day, like the gold miners, investigating all these mineral claims for years. And one day they dig into it and they found gold. Not on the surface. Gold is right underneath. They found the gold on the surface and thought, that's it. We sent it to the lab and that's gold. But it's the gold on the crux. There's a lot more underneath it. Anyway, So as you develop more and more and more, so what's next? As you develop, you're getting happier and happier. When you're meditating, you're getting happier and happier. What is the objective of life, people say? And I would like to repeat it again. It's a very important concept. What is the objective of life? The objective of life? Fame, reputation, money? All these? The objective in life is looking for happiness. What is happiness? Different definitions. But one definition applies to all in happiness: peace of mind. When you don't have peace of mind, you don't have happiness. It does not matter. You can be buried with billions of dollars. You can have many, many capital assets. If you don't have peace of mind, if you always have to be on the go, on the road, you are fearful that somebody would kill you because of money you have, because of what you have done. You don't have peace of mind. It does not matter how much money you have. You can't buy peace of mind with money, you know. That peace of mind, that kind of happiness, you can achieve it in meditation, you know. Not just by one session, not just by 1 year. We have a lot of witnesses in here that they are extremely happy because they have this peace of mind. They don't attach to the past anymore. They are brand new. Their rivulet is already flow into the ocean, in the vastness of the ocean. They are one with the ocean. They are waiting to be enlightened. They are waiting to reveal the real wisdom. They are going through that spiritual path. They don't attach to material anymore. They don't attach to the pain and the suffering of the past anymore. They're a new person. Do you want to still attach to your past? If you want to, don't come next time. Don't pollute us, please. If you want to attach to memory, sufferings of the past, and you always do that, when the thought of the past comes up that abuse you again, do you want to continue this abusing? You immediately want to drop it out, throw it away. Don't wait. It stinks, you know, like the manure this morning. Don't put it in your own house. When somebody throws in this manure garbage at you, sweep it out. Don't wait. Don't let it sustain. Sweep it out. Now, if you don't do it that way, please don't bring your garbage into here. We don't want to see you next time. No garbage, please. All right, so what is this tranquility? As you develop and develop more and more and more, you're happier. In the Chinese language, you will develop Qing An. Qing An in the Cantonese language is Heng Ngon. What is this Qing An? What is this? Qing means very, very light. What is An? An is a kind of bliss, a kind of comfortable happiness. It's not happiness in the sense of sensuous or sexual satisfaction. It's not that sense. It's a happiness that is pure, that is peace, tranquility, equanimity. It's different from satisfaction. It's different from satisfaction of the senses. Satisfaction of the senses don't bring you happiness, you know. Ultimately, satisfaction on the senses bring you suffering. Your eyes, your nose, your tongue, your taste, your touch, you want to satisfy just your senses, you're not on the right track. You're satisfying the 5 robbers inside of you, the 5 thieves, who robbed you of your spirituality, who robbed you of your saintly expedition. Your own senses betray you. most of the time. Your senses help you, but they also betray you. So, you gradually develop this tranquility, but this kind of happiness is temporal happiness, It is still not enlightenment. This is not nirvana. But it's already a temporal, this mundane, this worldly happiness. Isn't that what you're looking for in this world? Worldly happiness. Of course, it's a supramundane happiness. We call it enlightenment. But let's carry on. You are aware of every thought. You practice. But there's one very important concept that you have to know. When a thought arises, sustain it and go, you must differentiate what kind of thought that is. In other words, you must have your morality standard. Your mind is supported by the foundation, must be supported by the foundations of morality. This is extremely important. Everyone since childhood has learned and accepted certain values of life or morality of life. Unless you are born in a family that does not teach you any values and you form your own values. That's why everybody's value is a little different. Each has different morality standard. This standard is influenced and imparted to you by directly or indirectly by your family, by school, by society, by your jobs, by how you were being brought up. But a meditator must guide all his thoughts, action, and speech with the right morality standard. That's why in Buddhist teaching, there is one very important school in the Buddhist teaching. That is the Vinaya, the Pratimoksha, in the Sanskrit language. In the modern English language, it's morality, precepts, disciplines. If you don't know what morality is, when something is really wrong and you think that is right because of your morality standard, you're not on the right track. On the one hand, you're practicing meditation, trying to attain that purity of awareness, purity of karma. On the other hand, you're doing sexual misconduct. You're drug trafficking. You're killing animals. You're hunting. You're doing all kinds of killing, lying, slandering, labeling, hurting other people, and you name it. You're doing all this kind of bad deeds. You don't have a morality foundation to support your wisdom and your meditation. When you don't have that foundation, you collapse. That means you are still aware, but you're not being supported by this morality. Your meditation would sharpen your awareness. You become more intelligent, but you direct your intelligence to do the wrong thing. That would bring you bad karma. That may even bring you down to hell. Bad causality. So you've got to watch every thought, every action, every behavior must be supported by morality. In other words, to put very, very simply for beginners, you haven't studied that before, you've got to be a good guy. I can't see a bad guy practicing meditation and be successful. Stealing, when you're reading the Buddha's book, a book is a wonderful thing to give up stealing. Sexual misconduct is a wonderful thing to give up sexual misconduct. But after you put down the book, you do all kinds of sexual misconduct. You fool around. When you put down that book, you fool around. You're doing bad things behind the curtains. You're betraying yourself. Every thought must be supported by morality. You are a Buddhist, but you are a shrewd businessman. You try to cheat people. You're doing import-exports. You're signing all this contract. You don't live up to your contract. You put all these loopholes in there. You're trying to cheat people. Are you a real Buddhist? Did you know the morality? You are a Buddhist practicing compassion to all living things, but you are hunting. You're hunting for pleasures. You're wearing the mink. They killed hundreds of minks to set up the mink coat business. You're killing seal. You're killing animal for food. You're eating lobsters, live fish. You name them. You're killing animals for food. Buddhists don't kill animals for food. We are all vegetarian, you know. How can you practice the Buddha's compassion at the same time you're killing animals? You know how they killed cows, hogs, chickens? Have you been to chicken farms? Chickens are the most abused domestic animals on earth. They kill them by machines. Turkeys, Easter is coming, or has it already passed? How they kill? I saw photographs of them, of the farmers killing turkeys by iron rods. Why? Because some of these turkeys got sick, and they kill them alive so that the sickness won't spread to all the others. In their mind, in their level of morality, they think, I'm doing a great job in here. All these turkeys, they're running for life, and this farmer is holding this iron rod and is trying to kill them alive. And in the farmer's mind, he said, I'm doing a great job. I'm not spreading the disease to other turkeys. So I've seen in that photos, in that video, maybe 15, 16 turkeys running for life inside an enclosed area, and a few farmers using iron rods to use the vulgar language to beat the hell out of them. They're all dead until they're all dead. So, every action, every speech must be supported by morality. So there's a lot more to learn. So tranquility. So let's go back to the effect of meditation after practicing for a certain time period. You achieve tranquility. What is tranquility? I still have about 10 minutes to go. So I better finish what I intend to finish today. And what is this tranquility? It is a mental state of quietude which comes and goes. It's quiet. And entering into quietude is a sign of one's progress. But the danger lies in mistaking it for samadhi. You are in quietude, you are in tranquility. Oh, I got samadhi. You know what samadhi is? Samadhi, what is samadhi? In the Chinese language is samadhi. Samadhi is a Sanskrit word. It means establish and make firm. It is pure awareness of the mind through gradual calming of mental activity. It is a non-dualistic state of consciousness. What do I mean by non-dualistic state? Because usually consciousness is subject and object. Non-dualistic means there's no subject and object. Elimination of subject and object. It is a non-dualistic state of consciousness in which the consciousness of the experiencing subject becomes one with the experienced object. In other words, there is no experiencing subject, no object being experienced. This state of consciousness is often referred to as one-pointedness of mind. But then, that's not a good word. This expression is misleading. Because this expression calls up the dualistic concept. One-pointedness of mind calls up, I'm here, I'm concentrating something there. So you still have a dualistic concept. The image of concentration on one point on which the mind is directed. However, samadhi is neither a straining concentration on one point, nor is it making the mind directed from here, a subject, to there, an object. You understand? No subject, no object. The ability to attain this state of samadhi is a precondition for absorption. So in other words, if you really attain this samadhi, you are in meditation, no thought coming up, no experiencing subject, no object being experienced, non-dualistic. You are in this pure awareness. Just be aware. It's more than just no thought. No thought arising, yes. Do you have this pure awareness? Yes, you have this pure awareness. Is this pure awareness non-dualistic? There's no love and hatred, no long and short, no tall and short, no good and bad, no non-dualistic conception. And then if you are at that stage, then that is a precondition for further development, for what we call absorption. Absorption, that's the common English language. But in the Sanskrit language, it's called dhyana. Dhyana, D-H-Y-A-N-A. Remember, we live in our universe comprises of three realms: Kama Dhatu, Rupa Dhatu, and Arupa Dhatu. You remember? I'm sure most people remember. Kama Dhatu, Rupa Dhatu, and Arupa Dhatu. We are living in the Kama Dhatu, where sentient beings are dominated by 5 desires, dominated by sex, food, sleep, wealth, and fame. If you're not being dominated by those 5, you won't be in here. You won't be in the Dhamma Dhatu. You will be in the Rupa Dhatu and the Arupa Dhatu. The people who haven't been here, you don't understand what I'm talking about. Before you study Buddhism, you have to know your positioning. Where do you come from? Why are you here? Where were you born? How come you get born in here? Where are you going from here? You got to know your positioning. You know your positioning. Where are you now? You're in Dhamma Dhatu, Kama Dhatu. And there are other sentient beings in Rupa Dhatu who are much superior than you and me. And there are also living beings in Arupa Dhatu who are even more superior than the beings in Rupa Dhatu. All that you have to learn. I spent hours and hours explaining that. If this is your first time, you got to catch up on that. So, if we practice meditation, we will have tranquility, a peace of mind, then we further our development, then what do we get? Well, if you continue and suppress the 5 hindrances, then you will acquire Kama Dhatu Samadhi. One of the 5 hindrances, I'll cover that in the next session, but I just mentioned a few words. These are sensuality, anger, sloth and torpor, agitation and worry, and doubt. So if you suppress these 5 hindrances, then you achieve the Kama Dhatu Samadhi. And there are many levels of Samadhi. The highest level of Samadhi in Kama Dhatu is the Samadhi proximate to the first dhyana, the first absorption. If you achieve that Samadhi, that means you are neighboring on, you're almost close to the first dhyana of Rupa Dhatu. I'm sure people here understand what I'm talking about. Some people understand. So in the Kama Dhatu, the highest level of Samadhi, the highest level of Zen, the highest level of Chan, the highest level of this concentration is Samadhi proximate on the first dhyana. If you're at that level, that is 5 feelings, special feelings. Because why? Your body cells start to change. Your body cells should not be the body cells of Kama Dhatu. It should be body cells of the Rupa Dhatu. But all these 5 feelings, I'm going to talk about next time. There's so much meditation. You have been repetitiously doing all this. You should feel that all of a sudden, oh, there's so much in it. There's still a lot more to explore. Not just sitting like that. There's a whole philosophy. The profundity of meditation is unlimited. Because after all, it's not words. It's not language. It's the mind. The real mind goes beyond the barrier of language. Language does not apply anymore. Books, videotapes, concepts, perceptions, all these things, they don't matter anymore when it comes to Samadhi. When you have tranquility, you're not yet there though. So in the Kama Dhatu, we can achieve Kama Dhatu Samadhi. In the Chinese language, we call it Yu Jie Ding. So I'm running out of time now. I can only finish one half of what I want to say. What did I talk about this morning? I talked about the second mindfulness, mindfulness on the mind. The mindfulness on feelings, mindfulness on the mind itself, and mindfulness on the mind. We talk about consciousness, the 5 consciousnesses, and where do you go from this mindfulness? As you practice repetitiously, you continue to drill that well. There's got to be oil there. Don't drill for 30 feet and you stop. 40 feet, 50 feet, 60, 70, 80. You drill until you get the oil. Don't give it up. Don't abandon it. It would take people 20 years, 30 years. It takes people just more than one lifetime. It takes people a few lifetimes. But if you have practiced it in your previous lives, it could take you just one lifetime. We've gone through that, the time period. So, if you practice on and on and on, you'll be totally aware, non-dualistically aware, eliminating the experiencing subject and the experience object. You are in that pure awareness, that pure delight, that vastness of the ocean mind. Then you achieve samadhi. When you are at that samadhi, and you develop further and further, then you go to another higher level of samadhi, still within the Kamadhatu, that is the samadhi approximating on the first dhyana, the first absorption. Then you have special effects will come out. What are the special effects? We'll talk about it next time. There's 5 very special effects would come out. How many people are approximating on that level of samadhi? When you are at that level of samadhi, you are overqualified to be in this world. You should be in another world. That's the Rupadhatu world. Not here anymore. After this body apartment is gone, after you die out this body, you go to another world. So we're looking for that samadhi. But in that samadhi, if you really are in that samadhi, you're not looking for anything. If you are looking for anything, you are still living in a dualistic concept, because there is the person who is looking and there is an object to be looked for. You're contradicting yourself. In meditation, are you looking for something? Are you acquiring something? If you ask me, Reverend, what would I get from here? I've been meditating for a few years. And what actually are we looking for? I said, shut up. You're still not at it. You're still looking for something. There's nothing to be obtained. There's nothing to be obtained. There's no one practicing it, no technique, nothing to be obtained. If you're looking for it, you're not on the right track. On the one hand, you say, I'm already at samadhi. On the other hand, you say, I'm still looking for it. So much for now. And next time we'll talk more about meditation. And the fruits of meditation, although we don't want to take this minute rice approach. There's no such thing as minute rice approach. You're not going into a McDonald's and trying to grab a hamburger and you're on the run. No such thing. But you realize the effect as you gradually develop. In other words, you know that you have that tranquility in you. I'm a beginner, but after coming here for a few sessions, at least I feel more peaceful. At least I can let go of my miserable past. At least I'm not suffering from depression anymore. I'm going to throw that out. No more garbage in me. I don't want to continue that kind of suffering. Every thought you bring in about the past is a thought of suffering. Don't blame anybody. You yourself, you bring in your own thought. Not your abuser, you.